Hey guys, today's special guest for Tuesdays with Miss Tampa is Kristen Berset Harris. I'm so excited for her to share more about her story to you all. She is a Tampa Bay area native, a former Miss Florida USA, and she is the host for Great Day Washington. Thank you for being here.
So good to see you, Leah. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe.
Yes, okay. So to start us off, can you share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you've been up to these days?
So born and raised in St. Petersburg. My family is still there. They own a business downtown St. Pete. And I went to the University of Florida, but I've lived up here in the Baltimore, D.C. area for about 10 years now, doing my journalism TV career. So I started out in Panama City, Florida as a news anchor, and then I went to Baltimore as a sports anchor, came to DC as a sports anchor, and now I'm host. So I've had quite the journey in my career, but yeah, we live up here. I have a husband of almost 4 years and two teen stepdaughters, so we're figuring out school like the rest of us. And just, pivoting and trying to enjoy this time that we have together as a family.
Definitely. So how have you all had to adjust in your studio to COVID and COVID life now?
So, the show that I host, it was all about live guests, right? Leah, you were there, and people come in and sit on our couch, and it's, we interview them. So basically the entire building shut down. There's about maybe 15 of us in this 4-story building at a time. We have my producer and I have the whole third floor to ourselves, but we just had to pivot in terms of how do we get guests? Do we have the capability to broadcast from home? And at first it was limited, but then we just use our cell phones to broadcast. Literally, every morning when I am home, I'm on the show and my phone is my camera. It's amazing. But it's been a blessing in that we get some interviews with people that we may have never gotten before because either they can't afford to travel to DC or they're big celebrities and they're super busy. So we've kind of embraced those moments, and we've been able to really up the quality of what we do too, right? We're recording this now and you can edit it and make it good for everybody to listen to. And that's what we can do with our interviews. Live interviews are fun, but sometimes things go wrong. There's glitches. And so we get to kind of amp up our quality a little bit. So we've just figured it out day by day, like everybody else. I miss my team. We have a really close team, and I haven't seen my co-host Ellen since March. So I do miss them, but we've worked really well together as a team.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned you graduated from the University of Florida. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
With a degree in telecommunications. Yeah. How do you believe that UF prepared you for a career?
Well, gosh, we know how good UF's journalism school is, right? So just the opportunity. So I graduated in 2003, and I knew it's always what I wanted to do. It was just figuring out what parts of the business I wanted. But they really prepare you because you're working at the radio station. You're working at the TV station. I was just talking with my executive producer who studied journalism at Oklahoma, and we were talking about at school, because with journalism, as you're trying to, set up interviews and set up packages, you got to do it when people are free. And that's not always during your free time or ideal free time for a college student, right? It might be at night when all your friends are headed to the swamp or, getting ready for a Friday night tailgate type thing. So it just gave us a good sense of what this industry demands. And anybody that's in journalism, the hours can be crazy. You could miss Christmas, you could miss holidays and birthdays. It's that sacrifice to do what you love. But I think just the quality of the teachers and the quality of the opportunities that University of Florida provided really helped prepare. And then just the alumni group itself, right? Gators stick together no matter what, But when it comes to journalism, like it's nice to walk into a newsroom or a newspaper office or a radio station and have a fellow Gator there, and they'll fight for you, they'll vouch for you, and really want to help you with this opportunity. So just being a Gator overall, and, you know, in any industry, we know how important that is and how special that is. And then add the journalism and the quality of the professors and the opportunities. And I mean, it really prepared me well. Now there's nothing like the real world. Let's be honest, right? I mean, you're still going to learn a lot as you go, sure. But just having those credentials next to your name is huge. It's huge.
It's definitely true that Gator Nation sticks together. And
yeah.
I think we'll see that going through the adjustment to school and COVID, that we will fight for one another. And that's the only way we can do it.
Absolutely. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that the football team, but it's just, it just gives you chills.
It gives me goosebumps. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just everything we've seen of just how, you know, the university has evolved, and, you know, fun traditions like, you know, when Tom Petty passed away and then we started singing his song, it just is so joyful. I got to bring, so my husband graduated from Towson University here in Baltimore, and Florida and Towson played last year, right? It's one of the cupcake games. Yes. But it was so prideful for me. We flew down to my parents' house, drove from St. Pete, and I got to show them all around Gainesville. And, you know, I love showing them my hometown and showing them Tampa Bay, but then I took them to the swamp. We walked by the School of Journalism Communications. I showed them, you know, where my brick was, and there's the O'Connell Center. This is the Century Tower. It's so much pride there. So it was fun to be able to share that with him. And then we were at the swamp. Sorry. No, quick story.
Go ahead.
We were at the swamp, and he had his Towson shirt on. And most people were nice. Some people actually heckled him, which it's like, really? We're about to give him a beat down. Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Be nice to the guy. But some guy came up, and he had his kids, and I think it was their first game at the swamp. And he's like, hey man, he'd had a few. He's like, hey man, you want to drink? Like, can I buy you a beer? Can my kids take a picture with you? Like, just because he had his Towson shirt on. But it was just, and so that was fun for him, like a fun moment for the game. But yeah, it was really cool to be able to show him around finally.
I bet. Yeah, Gator Nation runs deep, and I'm excited just to continue my senior year there and for this upcoming year. So before becoming a news anchor, you did compete in pageants and the Miss USA system, and were named Miss Florida USA and finished in the top 10 at Miss USA competition in 2004. Can you share more about your journey in becoming Miss Florida USA and what you learned throughout that process?
So I grew up, you know, knowing of Miss America and the Miss America system. And I was an awkward child. I was tall, lanky, tomboy. But I had been modeling since I was 12. So I started modeling when I was 12. And then my summers in college, I actually would move to New York and model up there and then come back. And I did it for a few years once I graduated and become Miss Florida. But I only knew about the Miss America system. And I just never thought about competing because I'm like, I don't have a talent part to compete in Miss America. And so my junior year of college, another former Miss Florida and her mom that live in Gainesville, they started the Miss Gainesville USA, and they came recruiting through all the sorority houses, and it was pretty inexpensive to enter at that time. I think it was like $75, right, to enter the pageant. And so I went to my mom, like, can I give it a try? Yeah, it'll be fun. And so we got hooked up with some people and got a dress and did all that. And I was a nervous wreck, Leah. I mean, I remember sitting there like trying to smile, right, and I couldn't. And I'd walked runways before, but this was something totally different. And I was really kind of shy. Mm-hmm. And so I got up there, did my thing, and Jamie Estrada, who was Miss Florida and the director, and her mother came up to me afterwards and said, we think you did a great job. We know it was your first time. We really think you should do another one. We really think you should continue this. So they gave me that boost of confidence right away. And they kind of helped me as I went on. I didn't win any my first year. And in my second year, I won Miss Central Florida, USA. And then that was 2002 to 2003. And so July 2003 was Miss Florida USA. So it was my first time competing in Miss Florida, and I won. So I think it was a surprise to a lot of people, and then not a surprise to some, but I just went out there and had fun, and really just kind of tried to soak it all in. So life changed completely right then and there. And I just graduated college 2 months earlier. So thankfully at that time, Miss Florida actually got a free apartment in South Florida. That was one of our prizes. So I moved down to Hollywood, Florida, which was fine. I was going to move to Miami anyways and continue with modeling. And was just kind of thrust into this world that I didn't really know. I look back at some pictures now, I'm like, I didn't know how to do my hair or makeup. Like, I didn't really know how to present myself. I just graduated college. And, but I think it was all of that prepared me for life in general. I mean, with the pageants, I mean, there's all the training. And yeah, you may not walk on a stage in 4-inch heels and a bathing suit the rest of your life, but those interview skills that you learn and the confidence that you gain just from learning how to present yourself have just been so important and so pivotal in my career. It took me a few years before I got it back into news, because I moved to Miami as Miss Florida and I modeled and did hosting for 3 years. And I was like, I want to use my degree. I'll go to news. But I think just learning how to think and how to present yourself, how to talk to strangers, just so pivotal in all of that. Now, I can't say it's all been positive, because as a former model, and I was a swimsuit model, among other things, and as a former pageant girl, people look at you like, here's a blonde girl, pretty blonde girl, did pageants, not going to be much substance up there, right? Leah, I'm sure you've had to experience some of that sometimes.
Absolutely.
But that also kind of taught me, like, you have no idea. Wait until I actually open my mouth and talk to you, right? I had one news director who's he's a Gator too, and we'd been friendly, and so I asked him to lunch one day so I could kind of pick his brain about the business. And this is when I was still in sports, and he said, what do you say to those people that Google your name and see swimsuit photos online? And I said, I thought about it for a second, because nobody's really actually asked me. I think I did lose a job once because of it, from what I've been told. And I just looked at him, I'm like, I still wish I had that body.
Right.
I mean, it's 22, 23. I'm like, I still wish I looked like that. Hell, put it out there. I don't care. Right. He was just like, okay, I'm not going to hide behind it at all. Everything I've done, the people I've met, the jobs I've had, the runways I've walked, the stages I've been on, have all made me who I am, and have made me every step of the way more confident in pursuing things in my career that are new to me. Pageants were new to me. And I'm all about adventure and trying things. Giving up and giving speeches were new to me, but it all kind of just built up like, hey, I survived that and I did just fine. I learned from my prep, and then I survived this and I did just fine. And when this job came up at Great Day Washington, this is what I've always wanted to do, right? Host a lifestyle type show. Today's Show, Good Morning America, those are like my dream.
Yes.
And this opportunity came up, and I was actually on medical leave at the time, and I saw the availability, and I texted my executive producer and said, can I throw my name in the hat too? And she's like, well, why do you think you'd be a good fit? And just started rattling off where I was in my life and the things I've been through. And that's how I thought I could connect with the audience. And it was just one of those, hey, if you don't ask, if you don't try, you're never going to know. Right. And so I did. And I came in and I had auditioned like everybody else. And then I got the job. And it's been a great 4 years. It's been so much fun. So long story short, those things that people might knock you for, are what makes you who you are, and the things you learn from.
I love that so much. And it's so important for people to learn. And I think especially for young women too, to not let fear stop you from pursuing your dreams, pursuing those passions, or the fears of what other people might think or say. So that is incredible advice, and definitely something that more young women can learn from.
Yeah, especially, you go, like when I started in sports, it was in Baltimore. I was the only female covering Baltimore sports. Now there had been women in my place before me. I replaced another female and then she replaced another one. But when you look around all the stations, it was all female. So of course I'm nervous, and like, I even tried to dress down. Like I would wear, a polo shirt and some longer shorts. I didn't want any attention drawn to me. And it took me a couple years to get out of that stage. But I did my research. I knew what I was talking about. I was respectful, and I asked questions when I didn't know. And quickly I gained the respect of everyone around me. So much so that one of the other reporters is now my husband 10 years later. So apparently it worked pretty well. But it's still nerve-wracking. You have every right to be afraid or a little fearful or a little hesitant. But, you have to know your worth and know that you deserve to be in that position, if not in a better, if not more than anybody else. Or just as, so especially for women in a male-dominated type area, you deserve to be there.
That's great. And you have an incredible story of resilience and overcoming obstacles that really speaks to me. So I wanted to know if you could share more about your story.
With my health situation?
Yes.
So I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And the first time I was diagnosed was in 2009. And actually, I had just come to Baltimore. So it was maybe like 6 or 7 months after I arrived here. So not only was I figuring out the sports world, and then I was having to deal with that into a city where I didn't know anybody except one person, which was a sorority sister of mine from Florida. That's the other thing about Florida. Everywhere you go, you got friends.
Yes.
And so when that happened, it was a new career, a new city. So I had a bilateral mastectomy, which is an overnight big operation, but I was probably back to work in like 10 days. Just because I didn't want to miss out on anything. I didn't want to be a burden to anybody. So then, just figuring out that life, and I'd be sitting at training camp in the dead of August, 100 and something degrees, and I get a hot flash because, when you're on the medicine, a lot of women get hot flashes, and I'm just drenched. I'm like, this is not cute. But you just kind of, I didn't tell anybody. I just sit there and sweat, and I'm like, okay, you move on. But I think going through that gave me courage and confidence to make a jump from Baltimore to DC after 2 years. So then I was here in DC, and I had to, I was the weekend anchor, and our main anchor left. So I had to fight for that role for several months. And finally I was made sports director here. And then November of 2016, I was diagnosed again with breast cancer. And it was actually a month before my wedding.
Wow.
So it was November I was diagnosed. December I got married. January I had surgery. March my husband was let go from his job. So I said, honey, if we survive this first year of marriage, we're good. We're golden. But I decided to take time, right? Especially as women and we're coming up in our careers, we don't want to miss out on anything, but sometimes that runs us into the ground, or sometimes that's more detrimental than helpful. So this time around, I was like, I'm tired. I'm stressed. I wasn't really loving where my field was going or my position was going. So I'm like, I'm just going to take time for myself, enjoy being a newlywed. I have 2 stepdaughters, enjoy being a stepmother, and just get my health under control. I think it was kind of a sign to like, hey, slow down a little bit. You got to take care of yourself. And, but it was during that time that's when I applied for this job. Like I literally went to radiation treatment in Baltimore and then drove here to DC to do my audition. which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I felt so good about this opportunity. And I finally saw this window, like open towards one of my, towards my dream. And I was like, there's nothing that's going to keep me from this. I've already gone through this once before. I can drive. I feel okay. And then I'll just go home and rest. So it's one of those things where I don't wish this upon anybody. And I would have preferred not to have to gone through it once, more so twice. But it was something that happened at such a pivotal moment in my life. I probably never would have tried to jump for this job. I may have, but I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it. It gave me some perspective, right? I got to chill. I got to really think about where my career was going. I got to really see what was most important to me, which was my health and my family. And I just tried to use those things that have happened like that and figure out how it's made me better. Mm-hmm. Instead of how it's made me worse or sicker or more uncomfortable or, having to deal with hot flashes. It's more about, the person I've become because of it. And I think I've become stronger. I've become more vocal. I've become more confident and just really enjoying life and the little things, and it's a club that, with pageants in Miss Florida, that's a club you want to be a part of. With this, it's a group you never want to be a part of, but you're glad of the women that are in it because we all support each other, especially, in this community. I've met so many incredible women, and just knowing somebody that you can just say, hey, I'm a survivor too. You're amazing. Just even just saying, hey, I'm a survivor too. I got you. Can do wonders for somebody that's going through something similar.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's so inspiring. And I think it's really important, like you said, to know sometimes it's more important to take that time to rest and to not always overwhelm yourself. I know for me in college, I feel like sometimes I have to take on everything or say yes to everything. Yeah. And sometimes it's better to say no.
Yeah, but I mean, because if you're saying yes to everything, which I'm with you. I'm the exact same, yeah. Especially when it comes to certain interviews, like, yes, I'll do that. Next thing I know, I have so much work to do. Or my husband will sometimes have to say, you don't have to say yes to everybody that asks you to speak or be an MC or something. And then you're not giving it your fullest. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you're going to say yes to somebody or to do something, you want to make sure you're totally present and you're there and you feel good and you're prepared. And sometimes you take on too much. Mm-hmm. And, with you've got school, you've got just life as a college student, you've got your duties as Miss Tampa. There's you want to do good and you want to give back, but what good are you if you're not 100% yourself, right? And then I think during this time with COVID-19, we've all just kind of started to really appreciate the downtime. Like, I know we're a little more stressed out and some people are anxious and figuring out how to work from home. But once I got like my studio set up at home and I can just walk downstairs and sit in front of a camera, and then I can go and I can make lunch on my counter, or I could help the kids with something, you learn to appreciate how nice it is to have that time. I get to see them a lot more than I ever did, driving pretty much 2 hours both ways is how long it takes me to get to work. So yeah, sometimes it's good to just slow down. I even just posted today on Instagram. I'm like, find those little things that make you happy, right? It's not these major milestones, which they're great. And these major achievements are great. But, if you can and find the time, sit and put that puzzle together. Go get a massage. Go play a round of golf. Go sleep. Do nothing.
Right.
Just do nothing. And it's just amazing how much that revives your spirit, right? And just makes you feel a little bit more full of life than you did before you did that.
Definitely. I really love that. And we know you have a long list of accolades and accomplishments. If you could go back and tell yourself something when you were younger or your college age self, what would that be?
When you're in college, you're so rushed to get out and get that job. At least I was. It was like, you're working in the newsrooms and getting a taste of what it's like. I can't wait to get out and get that first job and do this and do that. And there are things I feel like I missed out on in college. Just a weekend going to Jenny Springs or something, like taking more of that downtime in college, or standing in line for a basketball game at the O'Connell Center. I was always working when those happened, so I was usually covering the people standing in line. But just getting more of those experiences, trying something new, traveling to a new place on the weekend. It's just more of the, just relax, like just take your time, have patience. It's all going to kind of work out the way it needs to. I was very lucky because when I graduated in May of 2003, I didn't have a job. I hadn't applied anywhere because I was preparing for Miss Florida. It worked out that I won Miss Florida and all of a sudden I had a job, but just really try to enjoy the day to day instead of looking so far in the future. I mean, you have your goals, you have your things you're aiming for, but then you miss everything that's happening around you. Mm-hmm. And there's, I hear stories from other people that I graduated with at college and like, oh yeah, we went to this place, it did that. And I wish I did more of that. I wish I took more downtime to explore. I wish I did more. There's some nights you just want to stay in. You don't want to go out. I kind of wish I got out a little more, maybe, or gotten together with friends more. We did a lot of getting together at people's houses, and a few of my friends played the guitar and sang. So we just have jam sessions. Yes. To me, it's so much more fun than dealing with the crowds at the bars. Wish we did more of that, just enjoy every day for what it is instead of looking so far in advance. And I know we're all trying to constantly get better and get better jobs, but, and that's what we should be working for, but it shouldn't be all that we're working for, right? We need to work towards that happiness, right, and really create those memories we're going to take with us.
Definitely. That's so important. And I think it's really about having that happy balance between pursuing your goals and your career, but also enjoying those small moments. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying? Today is a present. Today is the present. Like, really enjoy it. And we've been trying to do more of that with the kids, especially since they it's easy for us to just disperse from each other and do our own thing. Like, really, we went to I found this field that's like 20 minutes away, and it's a big flower farm. And we just went and picked flowers. Yeah. It's something simple, and it didn't take very long, but we've had those flowers sitting on our dining room table for the last few weeks. And every time I look at them, they're so bright and beautiful, and they just make me happy. And I just remember it was a good day, because then we went to the volunteer fire department because they were doing pit beef sandwiches as a fundraiser. We stood there in the parking lot eating pit beef sandwiches in the blazing heat. But it was fun, and it was stress-free, and, just kind of enjoying those memories.
Absolutely. So the last thing I wanted to ask you is that you mentioned you grew up in St. Petersburg and your family is still there. So being a native from the Tampa Bay area, what is your favorite thing to do or about Tampa Bay?
Oh gosh, I mean, I love my hometown. And I grew up in South St. Pete, Pinellas Point area. And my grandparents had a boat, and we would go out and go fishing all the time. And I love the beaches. I mean, the Gulf beaches, of course, are amazing, but I'm not one that can just sit on the beach. Like, I want to be on a boat, and I want to go fishing or go kneeboarding or skiing, just being out and feeling the salt air in my hair and the wind. And so a lot of those memories of being there, and we'd walk up and down the back of my grandparents' house and go treasure hunting and pick up the trash that was out there. Like, oh, look, I got a bottle cap. And then also St. Pete has come such a long way. So when I grew up, I mean, we'd have to go to Tampa or Pinellas Park or Tyrone for everything. There was nothing in downtown St. Pete. And then, went through a resurgence kind of in high school and when I was in college. But when I come home now and just see everything that's there, I mean, there's always something new. And, between the breweries and the distilleries and the art museums and just the different diverse group of restaurants that are there, it's just so beautiful. And I got married at the Vinoy.
Oh.
And my parents' office is at Bayfront Tower. So we spent a lot of time in downtown St. Pete. And now I've been seeing pictures of the new pier.
Yes.
I used to I think we had like some homecoming or prom dinners at the old pier at the Columbia. So now seeing that, it's such a cool city.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many people up here, the lady that does my hair went to St. Pete not too long ago. I heard somebody else at the salon talking about going to St. Pete. Now people get excited to go to a place that we call home, right? And that's like, yeah, I know that city. Like, I love that city.
Yeah.
And we may move back there at some point. I don't know. But I love coming to visit for sure. Mm-hmm. It's just such a cool place to live and a cool place to be.
Yes, it definitely is. And I can say it really has been a blessing being down here in Florida and in the Tampa Bay area during quarantine and COVID, and to go fishing with my dad and my brother. It has been nice.
Yeah, we were just, I was just talking with somebody. I think I saw somebody with a picture on the boat and they were out fishing. I'm like, I want to go. We don't do a lot of that up here. And even just yesterday we were out playing golf, mm-hmm. and I hit my ball a little too close to the river that goes through, but it was really flowing, mm-hmm. and just hearing the water flow and like kind of feeling the mist just really made me miss the water. Mm-hmm. Thankfully we're only a couple hours from the beach here, so we go quite a bit, but it's not like being in St. Pete. It's 5 minutes that way, or the Bay's 5 minutes that way. Yeah, I know friends of ours just moved to St. Pete too, and they're just so excited. The whole Tampa Bay area in itself. I actually enjoy going to Tampa Bay Rays games. I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but the sporting events there and the beaches and the water and just everything about it.
Mm-hmm. It's a great place to live, and I hope that more people come visit because it really is expanding and so much to offer.
I can't tell you, I follow something on Facebook, and like every week there's a new restaurant opening.
Absolutely.
Like I just saw there's a kitten cafe that just opened, which we have one here in DC. I've always wanted to go. There's a new Cuban place that opened over by Janice Landing. It's just like, how are you guys still finding all these spots?
No.
Amazing what is still opening, but I love that, people are embracing it.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being on here today and sharing more about your journey as Miss Florida USA and your career, and everything is so inspiring, and you offer such great advice, especially for young women. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Leah. It was so wonderful to meet you when you came up here, and hopefully we'll get to see each other too soon, but it's been fun following your journey, and hope I didn't ramble too much for everybody, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.